Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Yoga Break It Down. I'm Yoga Suze. In this episode we are going to explore dancer pose. This is a balancing pose. It does affect the knee, so therefore I am going to show some variations that will be a little easier on the knee. When we are in full dancer, it is also a back arcing pose. This first variation that I'm showing is simply holding one foot up with the support of a strap. When we are preparing for dancer, we actually move into more of a runner stretch, but this would be level one. So grabbing your strap, lassoing it, hooking it around the foot, and for this first variation, you could hook around the foot or ankle if you're going to be staying here. And you can just let the foot sink into the strap. You can let the lower leg be in line with the knee, parallel to the floor. In all of the variations of dancer, we are working on opening the shoulder of the side that's interacting with the raised foot. So even here when you're holding the strap, be aware of the shoulder of the same side, and you want to roll that back and down and start to lift in the chest. I'm also showing a variation where the foot is lifted up slightly more, and a variation where we end up hooking the strap over the shoulder and pulling it, so you have a pulley system for pulling that foot into more of that runner stretch position. You can even use the strap in this way to move into a full dancer pose without having to grab hold of the back foot with the hand. Next, I am going to demonstrate a full runner stretch. I know we're all familiar with the idea of a runner stretch, but often we're practicing it a little differently. You do want to grab hold of the foot that's raised. For any of these variations, you can use the wall as support or practice this in the middle of the room, or to have the best of both worlds, you can work on practicing it away from the wall, but be close enough to a wall to reach out if needed. So for runner stretch, whether you're using the wall for support or not, you want to raise one foot and grab hold of it with the same side hand. And you may end up keeping the foot low, like we were practicing with the strap, or if it's okay for the knee and the quad, you can draw that heel closer in the direction of the pelvis. As you're doing this, you also want to adjust the knees to align. You should have inner thigh against inner thigh, knee parallel to knee. And this is the point that is often disregarded as people are doing a runner stretch. They're letting the leg go out at all angles. This is going to help us balance. So that's why for yoga, it's very important, because we're not out running and we stop to lean against a bike rack to support us as we're drawing that leg in all directions. Our goal here is to balance. If the heel has come close to the pelvis, you're rotating that shoulder back and down, and you feel like you could go a little more deeply into the stretch, and you feel secure in your balance, take the opposite hand around the other side and grab hold of the foot with both hands, and you might even interlace the hands at the top of the foot, possibly working to heel fully against the pelvis. Whether we're going to practice dancer with use of a strap or not, so holding onto the strap or holding onto the foot, instead of how we just did with runner stretch. With runner stretch, we had the back of the hand facing outwards. We grabbed it sort of normal instinctually. With dancer pose, we want to turn that palm out, so we're grabbing hold of the big toe side of the foot, not the pinky toe side of the foot. By doing so, that really rotates the shoulder open and gives you a really nice pec stretch. Focus on your balancing, whether you're touching the wall or not. You want the hips to be square. So here, since we're transitioning from runner stretch to dancer, the knees aren't next to each other anymore, but the hips and the knees are still in line, meaning you're just drawing that knee straight back. It's not lifting up, going out to the side. If you're doing the full dancer holding onto the foot, then you want to have the foot push into the hand, and that's going to increase the stretch even further. While you're doing that, you want to lift up with the chest. So you have foot extending out this way, the chest lifting up this way. You're going to try to raise the full leg a little bit higher and raise the torso a little bit higher. Imagine that we are beautiful professional ballerinas and we can actually move to having our head and toes touch. So myself and probably many of you watching will not actually get to that degree of it, but we are going to envision that. So we want the upper leg and the torso of the chest to lift up, 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 up as the chest extends out and up here and as the foot extends here. If you are practicing full dancer but with the strap, very similar. Either you're going to use the option where you've hoisted the strap over the shoulder so that you get that lift of the leg, or you've adjusted your hand, so again the palm's facing out but you're grabbing hold of that strap and maybe the leg's a little bit lower. But same concepts apply where that foot is extending back as the leg lifts assisted by the strap, your chest extending up and forward, working on the hips even. If you're touching the wall, you may at times test to see if you can release from the wall. So positions for the opposite arm, traditionally the opposite arm is extending up, diagonally up and forward. But you may, especially if you feel like your dancer is not extending out in the two directions so much, but just a slight variation of the runner stretch, you might practice with your arm straight up from the shoulder. If you are using the wall for support, you can be parallel to the wall where one shoulder is facing the wall, the shoulder of the arm that is not holding onto the foot, and you can touch the wall low or high. Really, it doesn't matter so much as long as you feel a sense of balance. Or you can face the wall. You want to be a little bit away from the wall so that as you do these extensions, you have to reach a little bit to the wall. That can be really nice because the fingers can come sort of straight out, or they can work their way up the wall, which can help with that lift of the chest. In any of these variations you choose, coming out of the pose is important because it is going to reinforce your confidence and balance. With any balance poses, we do not want to hold them our absolute longest till we fall out of the pose, because even if we were able to hold the pose for 10 minutes, we're going to remember that we fell out of it. So we want to be aware of when we're getting towards, our degree of how long we can hold it, and we want to slowly, gently, and carefully release the foot and draw it softly down to the floor so that you are actually balancing as you're raising the leg up and as you're lowering it down. The balance does not only exist in the center when you're in the full pose. It does not matter if it's only for 15-20 seconds. If you are able to come into it and out of it with a degree of balance, that is truly going to build your confidence. In balance, we often have great differences from side to side. If you have a difference because of how the pose is impacting your knee to stand on one leg, and it is not advised for you to stand on one leg very long, if you have an arthritic knee, if you have inflammation of the knee, if you have any knee issues, for this pose, the knee is in charge. So as with other balance poses, you may need to opt out of this pose if it is going to affect your knee in a negative way. If you have inflammation in the knee, if you have an arthritic knee, you do not want to end up in more pain. Though sometimes, even if we have knee issues, we still have to walk around. And sometimes we are not balancing well as we're walking around. We're favoring one leg, we're shifting in the hips, which shifts in the back, and we're causing more all over pain. If it has been advised to you to work on your balance so that you can have better balance throughout your day, I would advise doing one of the strap supported variations, and for a very short amount of time. I'd say 20 seconds would be perfect on each side. And if you are experiencing pain sooner than that, coming out sooner. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Yoga Break It Down. Remember to hit the subscribe button and add this to your watch later list. Remember that everybody needs yoga. So Stephen King needs yoga, exterminators need yoga, chiropractors need yoga, and you especially, baby, you need yoga too. So I really hope you join me next time on Yoga Break It Down. Bye-bye.